Hello guys, and welcome to a new GTK window tutorial. Until now we saw in the last video how we can add mnemonic and remove it and so on. Let me mark them as checked. And now let us move with a new function which is called GTK window set accept focus. What this means, let me see where the function it is. Get focus, set focus. No, it's not our function. Right here it says a function which returns nothing, void, and takes two parameters, the window and the settings, which says true to let this window receive input focus. Basically says Windows may set a hint asking the desktop environment not to receive the input focus. This function set this hint. What exactly means? Let me show you. Before I call this function, I want to be clear about something. The way how the program is designed from the last video, if I press now enter, because the window has focus, it clicks the button. If I'm trying to type something, you don't see nothing, because like I said, the window has focus. The same thing happens now if I press Alt and the C key, the button get pressed, because we were setting this through window add mnemonic in the last video. I wanted to delete it, but I didn't. Why? You will see in a moment. So GTK window set accept focus gets two parameters. The first one is the window, GTK window, and the second one it's Boolean, true or false setting. So setting it to true, basically it is the same like not calling this function, it works fine, LC works also fine, and so on. Whatever, I was too fast, whatever. Anyway, watch what happens if I set it to false. First thing first, I'm going to compile it and run it, and now watch. You see how it's blinking right here. Now watch, I'm only moving the mouse, I didn't press something, but let me give focus to the window. Now the window should have focus. Now if I try to type something, you see I'm typing in the terminal. If I try to hit enter, I also do it in the terminal. If I try to use the LC, also happens in terminal. Basically I disabled all possible focus which was set on this window by calling this function. This means once that you call this function, which is called GTK window set accept focus, basically you have no focus at all. And of course, even those mnemonics which you add them to your window, they are gone as well. So be sure that you understand what this means. Okay, good. I'm going to remove these things because we don't need them anymore. We are going to proceed to the next function. Let me mark it as done. And now let us talk about GTK window set focus, because once that we accept it, we can also play with it. So the GTK window set focus, where are you? It is right here. You see both of them, GTK window set focus and GTK windows get focus. GTK window set focus says it's a function which also returns nothing, only void. Takes two parameters. The first one is our window, and the second one is the focus. The focus is a widget to be the new focus widget, or null to unset any focus widget for the top level window. So now if focus is not the current focus widget and is focusable, set it as the focus widget for the window. So if focus is null, unset the focus widget for this window. So basically this is how this function behaves. To set the focus to a particular widget in the top level, it is usually more common to use GTK widget grab focus instead of this function. What exactly means now these things and the way how these things are behaving, and what's the story, better say, with GTK widget grab focus. We are going to check this one as well, because this one is also very interesting. So I'm going to call this function right now, and and I'm going to pass it right here, and as you already noticed, it says GTK window. It is its first parameter, which is the window, and the second one is the focus. And now here I'm going to say button. I'm going to compile it and run it just for a moment. Now if I hit enter, you see the click button goes clicked, but this thing makes no difference. For this we will have to make some changes. So GTK widget, the first thing we need to create a grid. The second thing, we need to create two buttons, so button 1 and button 2. Now before we move, let us create a grid. So grid GTK grid new, and now GTK container add GTK container. We are adding the inside the window, we are putting our grid to be its child. And now we have the button 1, which is very important. And of course this line we don't need it anymore. And now let us create the button 2 as well. Button 2, and we are going to set the focus on the button 2 this time. Before we move, we need to GTK GTK grid attach, where we need to put the GTK grid. So inside the grid we are going to put the first child will be the button 1, at the left 0, top 0, with 1, height 1, and we are going to do the same thing for the button 2, but this time we are going to put the button 2 at the top 2, no, at the left 1. Okay, let me compile it and run it. GTK glass and central knowledge failed. Now let me see where the problem reaches. We created a window, and then we created a grid. We put the grid inside the window, which is okay, and we created the first button. Let's call it open. We set the margin to button 1, and then we call the swap, which is fine. And then we create a second button. Let's call it close. We set the margin, and then we connect it, and then we grab focus on the second button. And yes, here's the problem, because we used the same button 2 times. We need the button 2. Okay, now I'm going to compile it and run it again, and watch. Now because we said that we need to grab the focus on the button 2, now when I hit enter, it will get called the button 2, you see? Close, which is close. If I use Alt C, it will call the button open, and it should have been happening if I had not removed the mnemonics. Anyway, I removed the mnemonics from the first button, so it's not working anymore. Whatever. Anyway, the important thing here is that we were setting the focus on button 2. This means every time when you hit enter or space, you get basically your close button, click it, because you said this is the default widget which gets this is not the default, this is the widget which gets focus, and you set this focus on the widget. Don't make the mistake to create a confusion between setting focus and setting default focus. They are two different things. Okay, that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends and neighbors, and until next time, see you guys.